What is up, everybody? My name is Cole. I'm a part-time real estate investor, full-time legacy airline pilot, and a part-time military instructor pilot. Today, I'm going to be taking this information here, just under $1 million 12-unit building, and I'm going to transpose it onto this Excel spreadsheet. It's called a pro forma, so I can figure out whether or not this building is a buy or a bust. You can see right here, $925,000 is the asking price, 12 units, and they look like this. We got this beautiful building. It used to say Park Terrace, I assume. Doesn't exist anymore, but look at these windows. Very reflective. You can even see the stop sign in them. Clicking through, you'll notice that this is the most basic looking landlord special that you'll find. Actually, maybe not the most, but it's up there. Electric baseboard heat, as you may have seen in this last picture. That would be this down here. It's not central air, just window air, but they actually have the cutouts for it in the building, so you don't have to put it in your window. Lovely yellow tile. Come on. A little bit of stainage going on there, but that'll happen sometimes with those big jobs. It's Park Heiress Apartments. Taylor Swift actually used to own this building for the Heiress turn. That was a terrible joke. Anyways, we got baseboard heat, we got outlets, we got windows, we got ceiling fans. Very basic. Every unit's probably going to look exactly like this. I would lose no sleep over this. We got some coin-operated laundry here. You can tell because there's places where they put the coins. If you ever use one of those, they are just a joy. And we got this big behemoth here. This would be the boiler. It's used to heat the building. And that's about all I know about that. But look at this. We got this 2-car garage back here. Nice little parking area. And we're back at the beginning. So let's get to work. We're going to go to detail. We're going to look at this building. We got $925,000 asking price, $378.44 for the property taxes. So I'm going to go over here and just throw that in. I got $18,378. Forgive me, I'm not the fastest on the old keyboard here. I would normally put 12 units here, but if we continue down, I'm going to cheat ahead a little bit. We've got ourselves 8 1-bedrooms and 4 2-bedroom units. So we're going to take that and we're going to put that as appropriate on here. So we got 8 and we got 4 and the rent amounts. We'll get to that here in a second. But you can see there's all kinds of information on here. I'm not really too worried about any of this stuff. This is just fun to know information. So we're going to go to documents. I already pre-selected the rent roll in the income statement because there was sensitive information about tenants on there. I didn't want that to be disclosed. So this is what a rent roll looks like. There's a lot of different ways to put out the same kind of information, but you'll see this person lives in this 1-bed, 1-bath. It's a monthly charge. So these people are all on month-to-month leases, it looks like. Rent start 6/1/25. Actually, I take that back. This doesn't mean anything apparently because this is when they moved in was the first of the month, and that's this month. And so you can see normally what would happen is that this person would live there for a year. Once that's up, then their lease would automatically default to a month-to-month lease. So usually you would see this say annual, but this is my rent roll, so don't beat me up too bad for it. Rent $710. The recurring charges are $750, maybe a pet fee or some sort of other ancillary fee on top of that. For some reason, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen their leases. They put down basically a double security deposit, and they owe $40. So not too bad. You can see if you look down here, balances due. Somebody owes $578. This person's got a credit, and this person owes $1,100. So maybe this is your most concerning tenant of the list here because 324. Most of those are no big deal. I wouldn't be too worried about that. But what I would be worried about is, okay, we've got a vacancy here, we got a vacancy here, we've got a vacancy here, and we've got a vacancy here. So when you're doing your math on all this stuff, you just got to make sure that you either account for those being vacant by filling them at market or trying to do something to give yourself accurate numbers. Because if you just ran it with this, I promise you $5,800 is not going to work for this kind of building. So anyways, so what I'm going to do here, I know what 1-bed, 1-baths generally go for, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt when I do my math here. But let's go back to the Excel. So we'll pull this up next to it. So we've got 8 1-bed, 1-bath units. So we've got 710. And basically what I end up doing is I have my phone out right now. You can't see it, it's off screen. But I literally just go 710 plus. And then I just start going down the list and I fill up my phone with all the 1-bed, 1-baths. And then I move myself to the vacant ones and I try to fill the blanks there. So I got 710, 660, 700, 675. What else we got after that? We got 700, and that is that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got 1, 2, 3 vacancies. So that would fill up everything. So I know in this area, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You could go with $7.99 or $8.99. That's how Milwaukee does their rents. Don't ask me why. Actually, they didn't follow that rule here, but a lot of people do the 99s at the end of the rent. So we'll do $7.99 plus $7.99 plus $7.99 to round it out. So we're looking at $58.42 for these guys. We'll divide that out by 8, and we'll put $7.30 in here as the average, right? So then it's going to add it up for us automatically. And then the 4 2-beds, we're going to do the same exact thing. We only have one vacancy to worry about there, though, so we'll use the accurate numbers. We got the 800. We've got, let's see here, an 800 and an 840. And then we'll give them $8.99 because that's about average. So $33.39 is the total. We'll divide that by 4 for the 4 units to get an average rent per unit of $8.34. So you can see here on the pro forma, now it's taken, okay, this is our 1 bedrooms, this is our 2 bedrooms, and it's going to combine it all to give us $91.76 as a subtotal. I don't care anything about rents. This stuff, the per square foot stuff, doesn't matter at all to me. I'm sure there's somebody that will watch this and be like, what an idiot. This is the most important number, but I don't care. That's not what I do. Sorry. So we don't care about the square footage. It doesn't matter to me. Gross annual rent, it's going to just take that number, the monthly total, and it's going to divide or multiply by 12. Gives you $110,000 a year. So some people would look at this and say, oh, this meets the 1% rule right off the bat, which I can promise you is just absolutely asinine. You'll see what I mean here down the road. So vacancy rate, again, I would probably put this at 10% because you got a bunch of 1 bedrooms. I hate 1 bedrooms. The only thing I hate worse than 1 bedrooms are studios. I would probably move this closer to maybe 7, 8, 9%, but we'll leave it at 5%, give them the benefit of the doubt, right? We're giving this property as much chance as possible to succeed. And I just don't think it's going to do it. So we're back on report. We're looking at our Excel spreadsheet over here. We got ourselves with our rents. We haven't done anything except for throwing the property taxes there. So you can already see we got $18,378 for property tax. I think I've said that wrong like 7 times now, so I apologize. Management fees. Now, management fees are usually, for me, it's 8% of the gross rents. Most people, it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 12% probably. But we're going to go with 8%, give them, again, the benefit of the doubt. But we're going to do it against the gross number, not the vacancy rate, because if you take your management fees against the vacancy rate, with the vacancy rate applied, I should say, then you're basically just reducing that management fee number, and I want to be as conservative as possible. So I'm going to use it against if everything goes well, which would be this top number here. Again, 112 times 0.08 is 8808. 88s and heartbreaks. Again, I look like a grandpa typing on here. I apologize. But so that's our management fees. Advertising. It says to do $25 per unit. I don't actually pay any money for this to my management company, so I'm going to go with a fat 0 because that's captured in the management fees section. Maintenance and repair. I definitely would just put some money aside for that. This says to do $200 per unit depending on age. This is all outdated information, but I think it still holds true. So I'll put in $2,400 as an escrow for that, more or less. Building supplies. Again, I think it's going to say $50 per unit. Yeah, so we don't have to do that, but we can add that $600 in there just to give ourselves a buffer. Again, this whole sheet is all about giving yourselves a buffer and seeing worst case scenario, what does this look like down here? What do we got next? We got water and sanitation. Now this one says actual bill, and you're going to want the actual bill for this one because if you just guesstimate and you get it wrong, you're going to be in a world of hurt. As you can see, it's right here, $9,900. So we're just going to round up to $10,000 a year just for water and sanitation with the city of Milwaukee. 10 grand right off the bat. So you can see our expenses are already at 38% and we haven't really done a whole lot yet. The trash bill, you can see here for garbage services, they're paying about $2,060. So we'll go $2,100, just a little conservative on that one. Electric and gas, more than likely it's going to be this utilities dash other. So we'll go ahead and throw that in at $7,060. Now that's going to be your gas for your boiler and the common area electric. We'll go $7,100 just to be conservative. And then we got legal and accounting. Again, they've got a bunch of different fees on here, legal and professional. They got $760. So I'm going to go $800 on that. Just go a little conservative. That's going to be filing evictions and whatever proceedings happen because of that. Credit checks. I don't get charged for credit checks, so I'm not too worried about that. Collection fees. Again, that's all included in my management fee, so I'm not going to kill myself for that one. Insurance. Now, this one is tough. The insurance just killed a deal that I made a video about not too long ago. So I'm a little gun shy on the old insurance thing. This number could be anything from $5,000 to $20,000. And that's literally what I got quoted on a 14-unit building. But I'm going to give them, again, the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them maybe, let's say, $7,500 for insurance on this building. Pest control. Now, again, you'd have to just fill in the gaps here to see if you have anything that kind of falls into that category, and you're not going to. We're just going to go with a conservative $2,500 a year. That's going to be mice, rats, bugs, whatever the case may be. Lawn and snow care, landscaping. They don't have anything written for landscaping, but I know that I'd be charged for that, and they've got $720 for snow. So I'm going to just go ahead and double that and say $1,400, because I'm also going to have to have somebody cut the grass. We got replacement reserve. Always want to reserve on your property. So it's going to be the same $2,400 here for replacement reserve. And then painting and decorating. It says $150 or $100 per unit. This is going to be unit turns and things like that. When somebody moves out, what are you paying to replace that? And turns can be expensive. So I'm going to go $2,000 here. It's going to be more than that, more than likely. But again, benefit of the doubt. I'm giving them every chance that they can to make this a feasible endeavor for me. When we're looking down the list here, I'm not really worried about the income side of the statement, but as far as the expenses go, they got another $3,000 for cleaning and maintenance. We didn't really capture that on here, but because we did maintenance and repair $2,400, and we got a couple other ones down here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. Snow, lawn, leasing fees. Usually for me, when they lease out a unit, they usually give themselves half the first month's rent as their fee, their placement fee, basically, to put somebody in that unit. So that's probably accurate. They probably did spend this much money on that. Legal, we caught that one. Management fees, we're actually paying a lot more in management fees than they are. They're paying $6,300 apparently, and I'm going to be paying $8,808, and that's even with 8%. So I'm not really sure how they worked that deal, but $16,982 worth of repairs. Again, I could make other expense and put that in here, but like I said, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to leave this alone. And supplies, again, $4,300 worth of supplies. What does that mean? It's probably captured in some of these, but not all of them. Garbage, utilities, water, and total expenses. So you can see our expenses came out at $65,000 while theirs was $54,000, and theirs does not include taxes, which is very common, but in my eyes, I have to account for this. This is $18,000 that's not being accounted for, right? Now here comes the fun part. Annual debt service, loan amount. Basically what I'm looking at here is I'm just going to go conservative. I'm going to say I buy it for asking, because that's what things are doing these days. I'm going to put 20% down, which is $185,000 down. So I'm going to just note that over here. So that's what I'm going to be putting down on this property. That's important for later on. So now our loan amount is going to be asking price minus our down payment, which is about $185,000. $740 would be our loan amount. Interest rates right now are about 7.25-ish, plus or minus a quarter probably. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep that as is. And I'm going to go and put this literally into a mortgage calculator. I'm doing it on my phone right now, so it's off screen. But just any old mortgage calculator, I'm going to put $740 in with a 0% down payment at 7.25% with no other expenses, just to give myself my principal and interest payment, which is $5,048 per month. So we get a principal and interest payment of $5,048 times 12 months out of the year, gives us $60,000 to service the debt. So we have a net income of $38,000 against this, which is $60,000. And as you can see, debt service coverage ratio is not even positive. It's not even close to positive. It's a 0.64. And how that math gets figured out is they take 38,620 divided by this. And what does that turn into? Not enough to cover the debt, right? So you basically are losing money on this property, and you would have to put down even more money to try to get it to be manageable, right? So what number would I need to bring down to even break even? And then this is going to get even more scary. So let's take a look here. What would it take for me to break even? Basically, what I need to get down to is solving for this number. So 38,620 divided by 12, I need a $3,200 payment. So to get to a $3,200 payment in a rate with 7.25% interest rates, I'm going to have to really bring in a hefty down payment. I think I could do this for about $460,000 financed. Yeah, so $460 finance gives us about a $3,204. So that's a 1 exactly. Okay, so I got really lucky on that one. So to get to that, I need to have $460,000 on this loan. What do I need to bring down? It's $925 minus $460, and that gives us $465,000. So I need to put down $465,000 to even break even. That's absolutely nuts. This is not a good deal. This is a terrible deal, and anybody that's buying this is going to get totally screwed because you're just breaking even. That's if nothing else goes wrong. This is only capturing some of the stuff that we have as knowns over here that we've dragged over here, and we went conservative on some things, but there was other points where you heard me say, I'm going to leave them alone and give them a chance on this one, so I cut them out. So we need to put $465,000, almost a $500,000 down on this property just to break even. Even here, it's not even, it's technically a couple $100 off. And that's if we don't include some of these extra fees that are on here. So this property is absolutely a horrible deal. Park Heiress Apartments is a terrible deal. I don't understand. The only thing that somebody could be hoping for is that they're going to get these rents raised, but you have to raise them a hell of a lot to try to break even or even make some money off of this. And then the other thing that they might be hoping is that this is going to go up in value. Taking this to a bank would be damn near impossible. The only buyers I can see for Park Heiress are probably people that are doing a 1031 exchange. If you're exchanging your money from one big deal to the next and you're just trying to place it somewhere so it can sit and stay out of the market and not be taxed, I suppose that there's probably an argument there somewhere. I would not recommend buying this deal. And in my next video, I'll give you an example of a deal that I think is good. It's not going to be a 12 unit. It's probably going to be a duplex or a single family or something. So the numbers are going to look way different on here. But I'm going to try to find something for you guys that I think actually is a decent deal. And we'll see what you guys think. But this is my first attempt at walking through a deal step by step. And as far as Park Heiress is concerned, I'm going to call this a bust. Hope you guys have a great night. I appreciate you guys as always. If you spent any time watching this video, it means the world to me. And I will talk to you soon. See ya.